Hey guys, welcome back to this month's tier list. Obviously, this is after the release of the new selection pack. We have gotten the new Labyrinth support, we've gotten the new Traptrix support. You can see the decks here. I've thinned out the deck list a bit to include not all of the decks, but A, the most popular ones, and B, the probably strongest ones. So yeah, that's the list. Let's just hop right in and look what we have here. We have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, so a bit of a differentiation from the way I did it last time, where I basically categorized them in like this deck is able to reach Master, it's a good Diamond deck, it's a good Gold deck, etc. I would say that you can get Master 1 with nearly every deck. The question remains, how many games do we want to play? And you basically need to get lucky with a few of the decks, but we will come to this in a moment. So let me just say this. Basically every deck is able to get to Master 1, at least if it's playing a viable strategy. Obviously with something like Blue Eyes it will be really rough, but can you do it? Yes, you can, though you would need some luck, and I don't know if you want to invest that much time. So let's start with what I think is the strongest deck in the room right now, and that is Sprite. We will rank this in a moment, but I would say Sprite is overall still the best. I think I also ranked this the best in the last tier list. There are of course other decks that are also pretty strong, but Sprite is super consistent, has an awesome engine, can make a really insane and strong endboard, which is even stronger now against decks like Labyrinth, which really struggle to deal with Carrot, for example. You have also a good going second strategy. Basically every deck that can make a Zeus and can make an easy Zeus, which Sprite is able to, has a good going second strategy. Though of course going Zeus is a bit like ineffective against tier elements if you just put all their cards into the graveyard where they can activate then. So Sprite still really rounded out. I think we lost Sprite Jet to 2 on the last ban list, which is not that impactful. There were already a lot of decks playing Sprite Jet at 2 when it comes to which version is the strongest. I would say the pure version is the strongest, followed by, I mean there are a lot of versions like lingering around. I would say followed by the Sprite Evil Twin version, then the Sprite Runic version, which is not around a lot at the moment, and then something like Sprite Tri-Brigade, though Sprite Fight for Hire is also really strong, and I would put that on a level with, let's say Runic Sprite. Runic Sprite, Sprite for Hire also really strong. So there are a lot of versions that basically are strong because they can include the Sprite engine, which is all in all one of the nicest and splashable engines that we have in the game. So this is the most solid one, I would say. If you want to climb, have an easy climb, you should go for this. The next one I want to go over is what I would call a sleeper pick. So not a lot of people have realized this, and Hexlegs recently made a video to that subject, but Exorcister seems to be one of the best decks when it comes to win rates. So as you may have noticed in the last update before this one, we had this addition that now you can see like the use percentage of certain cards and the win percentage of other cards. And we were able to see the win percentages of Sprite, Tier Elements, and also Exorcister together with some other decks like, for example, Florent Reese. And turns out that Exorcister had the best win percentage record at something around 56%. Win rate. Of course, take that with a grain of salt because we really don't know how this is calculated or if it's against all decks or against a specific deck. So the numbers that we are seeing there in the game, we don't really know what they mean, but we can just assume, I guess, that is an overall win rate or something like that. So in terms of that, I think Exorcister might be one of the strongest deck, but this is also my personal experience. This is just a nice deck. We still have tier elements around, floating around in the meta. A lot of people are playing tier elements right now. A lot less people were playing tier elements in the last update after the BIS deals, but there are more tier elements players on the ladder right now, at least as of my experience, and Exorcister is quite nice against tier elements, being able to play cards like Dimensional Shifter, or just being able to play without the graveyard. Also all this banish effects, and the banish effects of Exorcista are really like easy to get. You can easily get to your banish effects that you can then use via quick effects and traps to, for example, banish cards like Kid Kalos, which when Kid Kalos is banned, it's pretty rough for Tearlaments. Talking about Tearlaments, obviously this is also in the S category. Due to my personal lack of experience with Exorcistas, I would put this in front of Exorcistas, but I would not put this in front of Sprite. I think Sprite is stronger than Tearlaments due to it being more consistent. Tearlaments, you can play it yourself if you have the deck, and you will like feel the inconsistency of the deck. Obviously, if the deck pops off and gets all his combo off and can make Kid Kalos into Roll Kalos, into Trap, into Scream, into whatever, then this deck is really strong and feels unstoppable. But play the deck and you will notice that it's quite bricky, and for example, there will be a lot of times where you play your Rhinoheart gets ashed, and that's basically the end of your play. So not really a good deck when it comes to playing through hand traps. Obviously it can always get lucky and mill really good, but yeah, this deck was stronger, is weaker now, that I will say. So let's look at the remaining decks here, and I think there is only one deck remaining that I would put in the S category. You can pause now and you can guess which one this will be. I will take the Dragonlink deck and put it up here. I think Dragonlink at the moment is one of the best decks. I would put it behind these two. I am not quite sure how I would rank it against Exorcistas. I will put it behind Exorcistas for now. Dragonlink is really strong. Dragonlink will become less strong when Kashtira will come, because against Kashtira this is not really good. Obviously this is super nice against Tearlaments. Having the Bestials, they don't need to like add the Bestials to their core, and maybe there is no synergy. There is a lot of synergy. You want to run Bestials in Dragonlink just because it fits super well. So this is really nice against a lot of decks. Also against the new Labyrinth support, this is quite nice against. So Dragonlink really strong, can really play through a lot of hand traps, can make a strong first board and have some Bestials to negate stuff. For example, the fusion summons from the Kid Kalos or other Tearlament cards. So as I already said, when the Kashtira comes around, which will probably be next pack, this will become weaker, but for now one of the best decks for sure. So let's hop down in the category below that, the A tier. When they released the support for Labyrinth, I was thinking that this could also be an S tier deck. Now after playing it on the ladder a lot, I would say it's one of the best A tier decks. This definitely struggles a bit in comparison to its TCG friend, where you can play triple skill drain, triple Gozen match. Obviously it's good that we don't have it here in Master Duel, otherwise it would be very toxic, but this is definitely a lot of power that is lost for the deck. And also the fact that in the Master Duel format everyone is playing triple Ash is also really bad for Labyrinth. Also the fact that Bestials are running around a lot, also quite bad for the deck, because if you get your two ladies, normally you play the two ladies, and for example the furniture build, if you get your two ladies and you won lovely banish, then what are you going to do with the deck? Then it's basically over, it's game over then. So a lot of problematic points for the Labyrinth deck at the moment, especially a bad matchup against Tearlaments, which then I, for example, switched to Dragonlink recently when climbing in Master, because this matchup was just that bad. When Kashtira comes, this deck will be better because it has a quite decent matchup against Kashtira, somewhat of an even matchup, I would say. And then, for example, Tearlaments will probably not be around that much when Kashtira comes, because Kashtira is a nice Tearlament counter. So I think then Labyrinth will be better, but for now it's a really nice, maybe at the top of A tier deck. We will see what else we will categorize in here. Let's take through Underrees. Obviously this deck has gone through a lot of hits, but it's still a nice deck. I think in Master Duel it always will be kind of a nice deck because you cannot tech against it. Speaking best of 3, and Max C is not a good card against this deck, and Max C is basically a good card against every other deck. Also not that great against Labyrinth, which is definitely nice for the deck because Max C is obviously everywhere. So only because of this, Underrees is already a nice deck. Can also play Shifter, can also not use the graveyard, so pretty nice against strategies like Tearlaments. So this is why, even with all the hits to Underrees, this is still one of the best decks, you could say. Obviously not in the S category, because if you play Fluanderies, you will notice that the deck bricks quite hard sometimes, can be quite inconsistent. I mean, they are playing 6 pots, and they have played 6 pots even before they were less consistent, so that should tell you something about the deck. Then we have Bandit Despia, which, I mean, it's always like they get new support, everyone thinks it's the best deck ever and now will be the best deck in the game, and then it's just not the best deck in the game. And I think this is also because, I mean, recently Branded Fusion got hit to 2, which is bad for the deck, but not like world ending. But the fact that everyone is playing Triple Ash is just devastating for the deck, and that's just why in the TCG this deck is a lot better. Is it worse than Labyrinth and Fluanderies? Overall, I would say I maybe would put it above Fluanderies, though I would not put it above Labyrinth, to be honest, but I could be wrong here. This could also be on the top of A tier, but I have the feeling that whatever support this gets, even with the support that will come in the future with the Sanctuary Fire Dragon and Quem, this will just not be one of the strongest decks, because Ash will be around forever, and this will always hinder the deck, unfortunately. Let's look at what else we have here that we have to place here in the A category. I think an Emancipator, though not one of the best decks in the A category, is still a really strong deck. Nothing has changed. We've gotten the Venusaur cards, which made the deck stronger. This is still pretty nice, can build an impressive end board. Can also somewhat play going second, though not that great, to be honest, but its going first potential is quite nice. I think this is still a really viable option that you can use to climb the ladder with. Then let's talk about a funny one now. Traptrix. So new Traptrix support. I really like the deck. Unfortunately, it's quite expensive. Where would I place this? I would place this in B category. It's a nice deck. You can climb to Master 1 with it. As I already said, you basically can with every deck. But it's definitely the worst of all of these two traps strategies. And just to like spoil this, I think Eldritch is even worse than is Traptrix. Maybe we will also put this in C category, but for now let's leave it here in the like bottom of B. So unfortunately not that strong as a Labyrinth is, and very expensive. Even in the TCG this deck always had around a 50% win rate, and I think here in Master Duel it's kind of the same. Back row decks tend to have a hard time here in Master Duel. And it's no difference for the Traptrix strategy, though that has to be said, this deck is not that reliable on the floodgates, which all of them are at 1 here, so that's a problem for back row decks, for classic back row decks. So not that problematic for Traptrix, more problematic for Eldritch, I would say. But yeah, here in the B category, I think this deck is very well placed. Then we have Runic. I'm talking Stun Runic, and Stun Runic is definitely still a viable option, especially because Mudora and Keldo, the shufflers from Tier Element, the Ishizu shufflers, are at 1 now, so this definitely gave this deck a power boost and is now in a better spot than it was before. Where would I place Runic's strategy? I would say this is better than Emancipator. And is it better than Fluanderies? I would not say that it is. I would put it somewhere around here. I think this fits the deck quite well. Let's take a deck that is in the C tier, and I guess you already have guessed it, still a fan favorite somehow. Salamangreat, it's just not great. Same thing, unfortunately, I have to say for Darkwings. So Blackwings, sorry. So I've played Blackwings when the structure deck came out, and it's a really fun deck, but unfortunately it can be interrupted quite effectively. Going second, it's like a catastrophe. You can't do anything with his deck going second, but obviously if you can go first uninterrupted and can manage to, for example, get to your Kali Yuga combo and then activate it on your opponent's turn, the game is just over. I have tried to climb with this deck, and if you are reaching the higher tiers like a Diamond and Master, then this deck is just a pain to climb with. You can reach Master 1 with it, but it's pain and you definitely need some luck. So I think this is, unfortunately, at least of these decks here, one of the worst ones. So a deck that I think is better than a lot of people think it is Marincess. Not a lot of people are playing the deck, but I think the deck is like at the bottom of A tier, there are really not a lot of people playing this. This is also an advantage for Marincess players because your opponent just doesn't know the deck. So I myself don't know what this deck does, so I would not really know where to interrupt it effectively. But this can make an impressive going first board, can also okay-ish playing second. Not a bad strategy, though definitely at the top, at the bottom of the A tier, sorry. Then we have Spiral, one more deck that a lot of people were like hyped about when the new Illusion of Chaos support came, but this is also, I think, one of the worst decks, also very, very expensive. So somewhere around here at the bottom of this C tier. Then we have Ad Ignister, Mavmech Ad Ignister. At the moment, unfortunately, not that strong, though I think the Mavmech Ad Ignister strategy is a strong strategy. I would put it over Traptrix and over Eldritch, but this really suffers from the Bestials being around, also from the Shufflers when they leave the meta. This deck, and especially the pure Mavmech variant, will be way better. Also Mavmech will be getting some nice support in the future. Then we have a Thunder Dragon, which also is a viable strategy, I would say, somewhere around here in the B tier, probably somewhere at the top. You can put a lot of other engines, for example the Tier Limit engine in here and combine them, or the branded Despia engine. So this is quite nice, quite a strong deck that a lot of people tend to enjoy. Then we have Sky Striker, which this is a tough one in my opinion. This is a really tough one. I mean, the thing that Sky Striker has going for it is that it can go second and play through a lot of decks and boards, so that's quite nice in terms of winning the coin flip, but I would still say this is more of a B tier-ish deck, though I would place it here at the top. And then we have Pendulum Magician, the Pendulum deck, which I think is also not a bad deck, and I would also put it around here at the top of the B tier category. Might be wrong about Marincess, maybe it's on top of B tier, I'm not quite sure, though for the rest of the tier list I'm quite convinced that it somewhere falls in this category. So yeah, these are the best decks that you can play. Still really nice decks here, okay-ish decks, and these are just decks that you will have a tough time using them to climb. Obviously there are a lot more decks, but if you, for example, want to play Plunder Patrol or something, or Dark Magician, then obviously these decks would also go in the C category here. Oh, one noticeable thing I have missed here, let me just say it at the moment. Sword Soul is missing here, and Sword Soul would definitely be placed, I would say, not in the S tier, somewhere in the A tier. I would say a bit above branded Despia, because Sword Soul always is a bit more, maybe a bit under. Let's put it here. Sword Soul was definitely better than the first branded Despia version that we had a few months ago, but now with the new support I think branded Despia is a bit better, so Sword Soul would go here. But that's the tier list for this month. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, or what you think about the tier list. If you like my videos, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, thumbs up, that would help me out a lot, guys. Awesome that you were here. I hope you enjoy your day. Have a nice one, and we will see each other in the next one.